Yeah, you know who it is, and for those of you that don't, I'm Cytonius, the opposite of the phoniest. From Speak Geek Unlimited. And Fist of Legend is one of the greatest and most influential martial arts films of all time. Don't at me. The year is 1994, and the most popular and critically acclaimed movies of that year are Pulp Fiction, The Professional, Forrest Gump, and The Lion King. But none of those films are Fist of Legend. What is Fist of Legend? Well, Fist of Legend is a 1994 Hong Kong martial arts film. It was produced by Eastern Films and distributed by Golden Harvest. The same Golden Harvest that produced just about every kung fu movie that wasn't a Shaw Brothers film. Golden Harvest also produced the other great martial arts film of 1994, which was Jackie Chan's Drunken Master 2. I'll talk about that in another video at another time. Growing up, I was obsessed with martial arts movies. Everything from Bloodsport to The Karate Kid to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had my undivided attention. Movies like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Mighty Ducks, and Beauty and the Beast just didn't speak to me. I was cool with Home Alone though, but none of those movies are Fist of Legend. Starring Jet Li, who served as producer, and directed by Gordon Chan, with fight choreography by the legendary Yuen Woo-ping. Fist of Legend, or as it's originally known in China, Jingwu Yongqiang, which roughly translates to Legendary Hero of Jingwu Martial Arts, is a remake of the Bruce Lee film Fist of Fury. Both versions focus on the character Chen Zhen, who was the top student of real-life martial arts legend Ho Yun Jia, who was a famous practitioner of the Chinese martial arts system known as Mizong Chuan, which translates to long track fist. Chen Zhen is actually a fictionalized version of one of Ho Yun Jia's students and was created by Chinese screenwriter Li Kong for the 1971 Bruce Lee film Fist of Fury. Li Kong supposedly based Chen Zhen on real-life martial artist Liu Zixing, who was one of Ho Yun Jia's top pupils. Jet Li isn't the first actor to portray Chen Zhen. He's been played by over half a dozen Chinese actors, including Bruce Lee, twice by Donnie Yen, and has appeared in several movie sequels, remakes, and television shows. Jet Li's portrayal of Chen Zhen is the opposite of Bruce Lee, who played Chen as a revenge-driven one-man army of Chinese nationalism. Jet plays Chen as more of a stoic and soft-spoken romantic man of action. I'll admit, I love both versions of Chen, but I feel like Jet Li's quiet charisma gives the character a bit more nuance and helps to separate his version from the iconic Bruce Lee. In fact, I would say this film is what people in America base their perception of Jet Li on. American films that feature Jet Li, such as Lethal Weapon 4, Romeo Must Die, and The One, all feature Jet Li as either a soft-spoken kung fu man of action or a soft-spoken romantic lead who is also a kung fu man of action. What makes Fist of Legend special is Jet Li. This film is a departure from Jet Li's typical wuxia wire fu style of martial arts, shown in films such as Once Upon a Time in China and Feng Sayu. Born Li Lin-ji, Jet Li was famous even before entering the martial arts action movie industry. A top student at the Beijing Wushu Academy, Li was a national wushu champion before he was a teenager, performing wushu demonstrations all over the world and even performing for President Richard Nixon in the 70s. Jet Li got his start in the film industry in the 1982 movie The Shaolin Temple, a film that helped reignite an interest in the Shaolin Temple and helped to turn the temple into a major tourist attraction. It also turned Jet Li into an overnight movie star in China. We could talk about that in another video at another time. The plot of the film is your standard kung fu movie revenge story, but with a political undertone. The film takes place in 1937 with Chen Zhen, who is a Chinese engineering student in Kyoto, Japan, during the Second Sino-Japanese military conflict, where China was occupied by Japan. Chen returns to his hometown of Shanghai after he learns that his teacher, Ho Yun Jia, was killed during a martial arts competition. Suspecting foul play, Chen wages a one-man war against the racist Japanese imperialist who murdered his master. Chen Zhen reunites with his friends and surrogate family at the Jingwu Academy and learns that his childhood best friend and son of Ho Yun Jia, Hao Tinghan, has taken on the role of headmaster of Jingwu. Tinghan is played by Chen Su-ho, and I'm really trying to figure out why he doesn't have a bigger film career. Starting his martial arts film career in 1979 with the Shaw Brothers classic film Ten Tigers of Kwantung, Chin Soo-ho has appeared in over 80 films and has worked with Jackie Chan, Sammo Hung, and of course Jet Li in this film and in the underappreciated Tai Chi Master. To call Fist of Legend one of the greatest and most influential martial arts films of all times is an understatement. The fight choreography and cinematography acted as a major influence on the first Matrix film, which is probably why it's the only great Matrix film. References to Fist of Legend are present in two of the film's most famous fights. The sparring match between Morpheus and Neo is clearly an homage to the fight between Shenzhen and Fumio Funakoshi, with Morpheus using the sparring match as a teaching tool to help Neo become a better fighter, similar to what Funakoshi did with Shenzhen in preparation for his fight against General Fujita. The fight between Neo and Agent Smith is also very reminiscent of the fight between Shenzhen and Fujita. With the title like Fist of Legend, the high point of the film is the fighting. One of the major differences between Bruce Lee's Shenzhen and Jet Li's Chin is that Bruce's Chin is a fully realized fighting machine who doesn't need to evolve as a fighter, whereas with Jet Li's Chin, each battle is a lesson for Chin that forces him to grow and evolve as a martial artist. The first fight in the film shows Shenzhen tear apart a group of Japanese martial arts students. This is done to show how skillful of a martial artist Shenzhen really is, but also to introduce the theme of racism against the Chinese in the film. What's dope about this scene is that Chin, who is a Chinese martial artist, is using Japanese-style joint locking techniques to take out Japanese bullies. Shenzhen's next fight is against Sensei Akutagawa, the man who supposedly defeated Ho Yun-ja in a match that ended with Ho Yun-ja's death. Shenzhen faces Akutagawa to prove that Ho Yun-ja's Wa-Fist method is superior to Akutagawa's Black Dragon Clan style of martial arts. Shenzhen uses his mastery of timing and distance to control the fight and barely breaks a sweat. The third major fight for Shenzhen is against Ting An for leadership of the Jingwu Martial Arts Academy. The lesson of this fight is to let go of restraint and to not hold back against an opponent. Shenzhen and Ting An are like brothers, so Chen is reluctant to fight him. Chen starts the match using the Ho Yun-ja fist method, mostly evading and blocking, but Ting An is relentless and aggressively attacks Shenzhen from various ranges. Because Ting An's skills are overwhelming and because he's getting pressed out in front of his girlfriend Mitsuko, played by former J-pop star and actress Shinobu Nakayama, Chen decides to stop holding back. Chen starts to use Western boxing, applying head movement and punches and controlling angles to float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Chen's style of boxing is an homage to Muhammad Ali. It's not indicated in the movie how and where Chen learns Western boxing in Japan, specifically Muhammad Ali style, because the film takes place in 1937 and Ali was born in 1942 and didn't have his first professional fight until October 29, 1960. This can be considered an anachronism. Chen beats Ting An but declines leadership of Jingwu and leaves the school with Mitsuko. Unable to find a place to live due to the racism against the Japanese in Shanghai, Chen and Mitsuko have to live in a hut near the grave of Ho Yun-ja. Shenzhen is challenged to a fight by Mitsuko's uncle Fumio Funakoshi, played by martial arts movie legend Yasuaki Karata. In the film, the character Fumio Funakoshi seems to be an homage to real-life martial artist and founder of Shotokan Karate, Genshin Funakoshi. The lesson Chen has to learn in this match is to not underestimate your enemy and to adapt to your opponent. I can say with confidence that I've seen hundreds of martial arts movies and fight scenes, and this is definitely my favorite battle in the entire movie, and in my opinion, one of Jet Li's best on-screen fights. This fight includes kicks, punches, light grappling, joint locks, acrobatic techniques, and they even fight blindfolded. So yeah, I'm gonna say that this is one of the best fights in martial arts cinema. Because Chen is young, impatient, and cocky, he initially underestimates Funakoshi's skills. Funakoshi is the type of person Shenzhen will become once he evolves into a fully realized martial artist. Their fight is like a chess match, with each technique being rooted in strategy as opposed to brute force. Funakoshi uses this match to test Chen to see if he's ready to take on General Fujita, but also to test his own skills in his old age. Funakoshi wins the fight because of his experience, but tells Chen that in order to be unbeatable, he has to adapt to his opponent. In the Chinese version of the film, the advice that Funakoshi actually gives is that in order to master martial arts, you must understand yourself and understand the universe. He also tells him that violence is not the path of the civilized man, and that peace for all humanity is the most important goal. This ties back to the anti-racism subplot of the film, which is unfortunately lost in the American version. Funakoshi's lesson opens up Chen's mind to the true purpose of martial arts, and to what type of mind state he'll need when he has to face General Fujita. The final fight between Chen Zhen and General Fujita isn't just another martial arts fight. It's a battle of ideologies and purpose. General Fujita is the embodiment of the xenophobia and totalitarianism of 20th century imperialism, and he represents the strength and brute force of Japanese martial arts, whereas Chen Zhen represents the nobility and pure warrior spirit of not only Chinese martial arts, but of Chinese people during this time. Ting An accepts a challenge from General Fujita to face him in unarmed combat for the fate of the Jingyu Academy. Chen Zhen accompanies Ting An for moral support and to act as a translator for Ting An, who doesn't speak Japanese. Once they arrive to the dojo for the fight, General Fujita has a sign that says "Sick Men of Asia." This acted as a racial slur towards the Chinese during the Japanese occupation of China. This is also a reference to Fist of Fury, where Bruce Lee's Chen Zhen takes on the Kokuru Kai, aka the Black Dragon Society, who left the sign at the Jingyu Academy as an insult. To add a bit of historical context, the Kokuru Kai, or Black Dragon Society, was a real-life paramilitary Japanese nationalist group of martial artists that was formed in the early 20th century and has been featured or referenced in just about every film and television incarnation of Chen Zhen and Ho Yin-ja. It would seem that General Fujita is somewhat based on the founder of the Black Dragon Society, Ryohei Uchida. General Fujita is played by Canadian-Chinese kickboxer turned actor Billy Chow. General Fujita is Chen Zhen's most difficult opponent and proves to be the Ivan Drago to Chen Zhen's Rocky Balboa, or the Frieza to his Goku, or the Agent Smith to his Neo. Fujita hits Chen Zhen with kicks and punches that would obliterate any other man and knocks him around like a ragdoll. This fight is less about flashy martial arts techniques and more about who has the stronger will and purpose. Fujita's purpose is to conquer China and prove that the Chinese are the sick men of Asia, and Chen wants to prove that they are not. This fight is broken into 3 rounds, with each round paying homage to the 3 final fights of Fist of Fury. Round 1 is an homage to Bruce Lee facing off against Yoshida, with the fight taking place in the dojo. Round 2 is an homage to Bruce Lee's second opponent, Petrov, played by Bruce Lee's real-life student, Robert Baker. The fight between Chen Zhen and Vegeta moves to the outside of the dojo, similar to that fight, with Vegeta even using a similar fighting stance as Petrov. Round 3 is a reference to Bruce Lee facing Suzuki. The fight makes its way back to the inside of the dojo, where Chen Zhen starts dominating the fight and beats Vegeta. Not wanting to accept defeat, Vegeta grabs a katana and starts attacking Chen Zhen. As an homage to Bruce Lee using nunchaku against Suzuki, Jet Li adds a wushu flair using his belt like a steel whip and kills Vegeta with his own sword, ending the fight once and for all. Fist of Legend is much lighter in tone than Fist of Fury, which is a bit more violent with a darker ending. In Fist of Fury, many of the Jingyu students are murdered in retaliation for Chen Zhen's one-man war against the Japanese, and Chen Zhen is a stone-cold killer. I mean, he pretty much murdered just about every opponent he fought. Fist of Legend is more of a celebration of Bruce Lee and his philosophy on martial arts and self-development. To some, the idea that Fist of Legend is not only Jet Li's greatest film, but one of the greatest martial arts films ever made can be a controversial statement. Especially when you consider films like Way of the Dragon, Drunken Master 2, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the Ip Man films, and the Raid films. But in my opinion, no other film has had an impact on movies the way Fist of Legend has. Because of this film setting the standard for fight choreography, Yuen Woo-ping has become one of the most sought-after fight choreographers in Hollywood, and whether or not you want to accept it, this film changed the way that martial arts fight scenes are choreographed. I mentioned in another video how Blade predates The Matrix with its Hong Kong-influenced fight choreography, which is true, but The Matrix made it popular and opened the door for stylized high-impact fight scenes And you wouldn't have The Matrix without Fist of Legend. We've seen many Hollywood directors try to replicate the fight choreography and cinematography of Hong Kong films like Fist of Legend, with some doing it well and some doing it bad. We've even seen Hollywood take Jet Li and make some good films and make some bad ones. I won't be talking about that in another video at another time.